This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
You don't like the Drake?
I hate the Drake.
I love the Drake.
How could you not like the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
Who's the
Everyone Loves the Drake Comic Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Myers, and welcome to episode 97. Episode 97. We are on the doorstep of episode 100. So if I've got everything planned out right and everything goes according to plan, knock on wood, the 100th episode should be releasing in the month of September, and it should be right around, if I count 1 week, 2 week, should be Wednesday, September 25th, will be the release of the 100th episode for Robin Everyone Loves the Drake. So we have that to look forward to. Young Justice is getting ready to fire back up. I've been kind of struggling with having a little bit of the flu over the last month of July and coming into August here. So we get that show back on track. Everyone Loves the Drake is getting ready to hit 100, but neither here nor there. This show is brought to you by the BatmanUniverse.net, your home for all things Batman, who is celebrating 80 years, and Tim Drake that is celebrating 30 years. You can find us on the BatmanUniverse.net, and also we are partnered with Batman on Films Podcast Network at BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can get a hold of us on Facebook at Facebook.com/EveryoneLovesTheDrake. We are on Twitter at ELTD Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, and you can email into the show at RobinELTDPodcast@Yahoo.com. And we're nearing 100, so if you've been listening to the Drake for a while, maybe send us an email, let us know where you came in on Everyone Loves the Drake, and we'll read some of those on the 100th episode, or we will read all of those. Give us a challenge for episode 100 to try and fit all the emails in, and we do have a few that we've been trying to get through during this interview process. So this is back to our interview segment, and a good friend of the show who is a brother from another podcast mother, our good friend Justin Kowalski, is on this episode. This was one of the early batches of episodes that I recorded a couple months out as I was trying to plan what the 100th episode was going to be like. And like I said, all of these kind of became their own episodes. So there was no proper intro for Justin in the beginning of the episode because I didn't know how this was all going to fit out. So this will serve as the intro to the podcast, and I've been trying to pick music from the co-host of something I know that they like or something that represents a co-host. I know Justin is a big Ramones fan, and I am a big KISS fan, so I have a nice little melting pot here of two of our favorite. This is like an industrial or a punk glam 70s peanut butter Reese's cup of the Ramones and KISS. This is, and I normally don't say, who some of the artists are that are doing some of these songs, because I just would rather the music just kind of speak for itself. But this is KISS doing a cover of the Ramones. Do you remember Rock and Roll Radio? And this comes from a tribute to the Ramones, We're a Happy Family. So it's got the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rob Zombie, Eddie Vedder, like I said, KISS, Marilyn Manson, Garbage, Green Day, The Pretenders, The Offspring, so Tom Waite. There's some really cool stuff on here. So my favorite band and Justin's favorite band are going to kick off this episode, and they're going to welcome you to the show. right, coming up on our road to the countdown, like I said previously, my wife makes fun. You're counting down to up to 100. And as my guest kind of pointed out, you know, that little stick that I put in there. So now I'm going to work it into every one of those. This next voice you're getting ready to hear is I would say a dear friend. You know, you opened up the door to the Drake house and it's like, hey, have some Drake coffee cakes and we'll play some Drake music. No, not really. It's going to be Ramones or KISS or something like that. But we'll sit down. We'll talk about the Drake. This is a gentleman we've had on the show twice during our 0 hour event. And I even did one episode as if he was in an alternate universe where where he was running the Let's Go Drake comic show. So there I'm bearing the lead. On the mic with us and sitting right across from me, if you can close your eyes and just imagine that we're in the Drake house and Dad's telling us to mow the lawn. It is Justin Kowalski of the Let's Go and the Let's Go comic show. Justin, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I like that you're calling it the Drake house. I love that. I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to be on the countdown to the final countdown to episode 100. Wait, what is it? The count? The countdown? I just messed it up.
You know what?
The countdown.
I'm just going to title this episode just really long, so Dustin's got to go. It's just episode 95, man. That's just what it is. So this is our road to 100, and I sent out all these feelers to podcasters that I've wanted to record with before that I've never had a chance to, or people that were like, you know what, this is a cool guy. He came on the show. It was just a blast of an episode, so I want to get some of those people back, and we'll all be on episode 100 in some way, shape, or form. And then, like I said, on a previous episode, you run into this very cool problem where it's like, dang, this deserves to be somebody's episode. So this could be a 20-minute episode where Justin's like, hey, I'm in, out, and done. Robin, red, green, black, he's good. Tim,
not likely.
But I felt Justin deserved his own episode, just as Donovan and everyone, the leading up to episode 100. And something that Ryan pointed out, he said, this is the most everyone part of Everyone Loves the Drake that we've done. It's usually the three, every one of us talking, and now we get to hear from the other everyones. Yeah. So the first lead-in question for you is, what was your first introduction to Tim Drake? Was it comics, animation, or something crazy? Did you walk by buying Batman Returns figures and go, oh, hey, look, there's a Robin?
Oh, wow. That's actually... You're taking me back. So my first introduction to Tim Drake, gosh, it had to be like 1990s. And I remember we had a comic shop I would go to, but there's also like, we had like a mall where they had like a bookstore, and they had a spinner rack and all that stuff. And there was this issue of Detective Comics. And at that point I was buying my own comics, but it wasn't as consistent. You'd get like Batman 4 something, and then you'd be in the 460s to the 480s. Right. You'd miss them. Anyways, long story short, it was Detective Comics 620, and it had the Batman cowl in a skull, and it had a purple background. And I was like, "What the heck is this?" It was like the most heavy metal looking thing you could ever see, right? And so I bought it, and like it was part 2 of the Obi-Man story. So this is like the rite of passage of Tim Drake. I think this is it should be in the collected editions of the miniseries. I think they have this story. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so I jump right in the middle of this. I'm like, well, who's Tim Drake? I knew that Jason Todd died. This was my first Tim Drake story, though. And so he's kind of going up, I think, against Anarchy, right, and like the whole Money Spider thing going on. Like, it's a little foggy because it's years ago. But anyways, that was my first introduction. And it didn't take a lot to know, like, he's on his path to Robin. I think he even is like talking about even that maybe a Robin's parents have to die to be Robin. Yeah. So it was really such a cool story, and like obviously it's got that amazing Breyfogle art. It's Alan Grant. So like one of my favorite teams has been Alan Grant, Norm Breyfogle. So that was cool. But yeah, Tim Drake was in that, and you're like, oh, this. I like this kid, and that was like my first introduction. And then I think once that story continued, I was able to track down the first part, and like the Drakes going to Haiti and all that stuff. And then and actually, what? Question. Let me ask you this question, because it's one of those. This is one of those Ray Schraz type of things. Like, is it the Obi Man or the Obia Man? I had no idea, dude. I like Obi Man. Sounds way more like voodoo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just from the radio drama, because like I was reading it right around the same time, and I actually went with the Obea Man only just because I had heard the radio drama first.
Okay.
Before reading that, so that's just whether the radio drama got it right or not. That's just where I went. But I liked yours, the Obea. It does sound more voodoo-ish, and then I'm like, oh no, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I'm gonna go with Obea.
Yeah. But anyways, that was it. I remember there was a really cool scene in the book where like Batman's Bruce Wayne's going to the airport and some guy wants to check his bag. And he just bribes him, gives him some cash, and he's all same price for a bat suit,
Yeah.
Anyways,
the thing I liked in that was whenever Bruce was in shadow, or he was delivering bad news to Tim, or he's in the hospital, you get that. They don't do it much anymore, but Neil Adams used to do it a lot, where Bruce would be half in shadow, and the shadow would fall right where his mask would be, but the background shadow on the wall was always the shadow of Batman, where you always knew as the reader that's where Batman was talking and not Bruce Wayne. I thought that was so cool. I remember thinking, how can he do that with the bat ears behind his head and he's not wearing it?
It doesn't matter. It's the best. Oh, Brayfogle, dude. So good.
Oh,
so good.
That saddened me when he, passed away. And it always depends on when I would read a book. Oh, this is my Batman artist. This is my Robin artist. But I really fall back to Brayfogle and then Tom Grummett, depending on the day. But Brayfogle, which was really where I started hanging my hat, like, man, he just drew Tim Drake really well, and Batman just looks so cool.
Yeah. So I'm the same as you, I think. Brayfogle and Grummett, man, those are my two, like, Drake guys, if I had to go. They did the best,
Well, we were talking about stories. Do you have a favorite story of Tim? Doesn't have to be from a solo series, one where you're like, that was really cool that Tim Drake Robin was there, or he may not even have to be a lead part, but he did something in the story where you're like, wow, that was pretty cool.
No, you know what? Once, I think my favorite era was once the miniseries wrapped and he was back in the book. It was just cool to have, like, oh, Robin's in the Batman book. Because my comic experience really wasn't with Dick Grayson as Robin ever. He was already Nightwing and Todd was dead. So Tim Drake's my first Robin, and so it was cool to, like, my first Robin, like, experiential. Like, you had Dick Grayson and, like, Super Friends and all that stuff growing up as a kid, but, like, as I was reading comics, Tim Drake was the guy. And so once he came back into, I think it was, again, that amazing Brayfogle, like, cover where it's Batman and Robin, just kind of that classic pose of them together. It's kind of a take on a classic, like, them, on a billboard or something.
Right.
And, I don't know the issue, but, like, once he just became regular in that book, it was just cool to see the relationship, and, like, him using his bow staff, that collapsible bow staff was so cool, and the way Brayfogle, again, sorry, I don't mean to be this everyone loves the Brayfogle, but, like, just the way the way he illustrated it, it was just so cool. I loved his solo book, but at the same time, it was really hard because it wasn't, like, the classic Batman relationship. It was because he had to cut loose because Asbats was totally, like, making it hard for him to be a part of that family. But I loved his story, like, and I was actually bummed once they killed his dad. Finally, I get that. Here. I was like, oh, I like the dynamic of him having to sneak out and, not starting to not trust Bruce Wayne. Like, what's going on over there? You spent too much time over there, and then Steph and Ariana and Eyes for Eyes, all his buddies. Right. Like, I wish those characters were still around because it was like that was his supporting cast. And I get it, you can't always, like, stay in a certain part, but I kind of was like, man, what a cool, like, cast of characters that Dixon was creating. So I love the Dixon era of Tim Drake. Just the whole, because it was just like that was a part of life, and I would say that would be my favorite, like, if you want to say story, because it was an ongoing, like, saga that he was crafting there. I really dug what he was doing there. So yes.
I heard. I can't take credit for this quote, but I read it online that somebody referred to the Chuck Dixon. If you ever watched the show My So-Called Life, he was referring it to as My So-Called Drake. That you had. Sorry, whoever you are, a mysterious person.
No, that's great. That's good. That's good.
But, you could have 2 or 3 issues where Tim doesn't don the Robin costume. Like, maybe a book ends, like he's just coming in from something, but you're dealing with him at school, or there's a death in Tim's school and how that affects him. And you get to the end of the book and he's got to go suit up because the bat signal comes on. I was like, wow, I'm more invested in his classmate that dies, or the drug problems, or the guns that were going on, or Steph's pregnant. Those type of things really had me in, and that's where I thought Dixon did a really good job of pulling. He pulled you effectively out of the Robin character that you weren't counting pages till you saw Robin again. I thought that, and he did that for a lot of stuff. So
Yeah, even in Nightwing, he would do stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, we were talking about, runs. I think you've already answered this, but if you were going to pick a book for somebody, be it the Robin, Red Robin, Young Justice, or Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run, where you're going, you know what,
man.
this is everyone that I've asked this question to is like, oh, it's like picking my favorite child.
Yeah.
Because I think each of them have a different take on it. But if you were like, this is a good example of Tim Drake. So which one do you more gravitate to if you're just walking by the bookshelf and you go, I'm going to read this?
You know what? Can I throw you for a curve and do like a ranking?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, we'll start at the bottom. I'd say Young Justice. Young Justice was my least favorite. I have like probably the whole run, but like looking back, I'm like, I didn't love it so much because I felt like it was more screwball at first, and I think it matured as it went on. But
right.
For a little bit, I was like, it wasn't my jam as much as the other ones. So I would probably go start at the bottom, Young Justice, and then I'd probably follow up Young Justice with Cry of the Huntress miniseries, where I'm like, at that point, like, just give him a book.
Right, yeah.
But then I would go to, man, I actually, the Teen Titans run was good. So, again, it's kind of in that middle, like, okay, that if you want to read him interacting with his buddies, and they did a good job establishing the relationship with like Connor and him and Bart and Cassie and all that stuff. Like, so I really did like what Jeff Johns did in the Teen Titans book, but my two favorites would just have to be, I actually really loved that Red Robin book. I loved it. I loved the interactions with Lucius's kids, just the stuff that was going on, like Tim coming into his own as he was searching for Bruce. It was like, out of all the Bat family, he was like, no, I know he's out there. I know who Bruce Wayne is, and just to kind of follow his quest. Plus, it had that just once Marcus Toe came on the book, I was like, dude, this is just a great book.
Yeah, I wanted him to draw that book forever. When the 52 hit, I'm like, no.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, I can't go there. I can't get. We're gonna go on a whole other thing.
That's a swear word.
Yeah.
So we're not going to swear on this show.
Oh, it just ruined the trajectory. Sorry, I'm going to go there. It ruined the trajectory they were building there. where with the Tim Drake character, like, oh man, he's going into this cool mission, and then once Bruce came back, I was like, okay, I want to see where he goes, because again, there was cool stuff going on in Wayne Industries, like with Lucius's kids, with his daughters, and like the relationship that was developing there. I was like, okay, I want to see this play out, and you never did. But I really liked that book, so I would say read the regular Robin series, and to kind of get like the bookend, then read the Red Robin series, because I think you get a good balance of who Tim Drake is, like starting out and then the detective he became.
Yeah.
So those would be my recs.
It almost like you rated them, like if you were on another show and you had a rating system. You started with a go, and then you went up to a gotta go.
There you go.
I'm just pulling this out from somewhere. Let's go comic show. So
check it out.
Something that I really was, in my mind's eye, it would have been great once Bruce had come back, is to have Bruce and Red Robin be the partner, and Dick, Batman, and Damian remain partners. And you would have, because I always thought, well, Bruce is doing the, not Batman Eternal, Batman Incorporated. What a cool Robin Tim would have made on his Incorporated side of the mission, that you could have had a Batman and a Red Robin doing their thing, and then you'd have the Gotham street level in Dick and Damian, which I thought would have been pretty cool. But
it felt like they were doing that for like a little bit. Yeah.
Like Gates of Gotham really felt like that. Well, that was the precursor to all that coming in, but you had 2 or 3 issues where it felt like that for a little bit. So that was, I will accept those answers. They work really well.
It's your show, man. You can make those rules.
I make the rules here. What did you think of Tim's new Robin costume? The very first time that you saw it, we got to see it for In a Lonely Place of Dying, and you thought, oh, well, Tim's just obviously going to wear, the pixie boots, just like every other Robin before him has worn, and then he gets this new costume. Yeah. So the caveat to that, what did you think about the costume, and can you look at that costume now and go, oh, dude, that's totally 1990s, or does that costume transcend the era from which it was, which people have pointed out it's not technically in the 90s. It's not Guy Gardner Warrior with it being
that's the qualifier.
That's the qualifier. Can he stand next to Guy Gardner and you're like, "Yep, I see it." Or
wait, Guy Gardner Warrior where he had the yellow ring or when he had the Voldarian powers?
Oh, the Voldarian powers. Dude.
Oh my gosh,
we're going all out.
Yeah, you went Bloodlines here, man.
I did. We're the only, other than Terrence, we're the only three people on the planet that know what Bloodlines is.
Oh man, Gunfire, the Cyber Rats. Look at all those characters. Cyber Rats. That ties into Drake right there because they were in Robin Annual 3, I believe.
Yes, they were.
But there you go. Bam! Let's go on a Robin trivia show right now. It should be called Everyone Loves the Drake. You should do that. You should do a trivia episode where you have just people from different shows and just do Robin trivia. All right. So what did I think? I remember having that issue in middle school, and me and this kid, Eddie, I think his name was Palmerin. Anyways, we were like, look at the suit. Like, it was, we already bought the issue, but I remember we brought it to school, and it was that issue where, Batman's upside down, and it looked like the cape was red or something on the cover for some reason. Right. Like, it was 457, and I remember you were just kind of like, wait, he's got boots, or like he had yellow boots or something. It just it threw you off,
right?
And then when you get to like that reveal at the end, it's so cool because he doesn't wear the costume when he rescues Batman. It's just at the end, it's just like this really,
he's got a stocking cap on.
Yeah, so he's got this really cool like it was such a great updated version of the suit. I don't know if it feels 90s to me. It just feels like a great update.
Yeah.
One of the things that, now correct me if I'm wrong, because you might know more about this, but I thought or heard that while they were like designing a new Robin suit, they had to have input from the film side. Like Tim Burton had to be like, yeah, this works for me,
Yeah.
So, which was why you mentioned the action figure. So I remember getting that action figure, like Robin's in the movie, and then you hear all the drama. But if you look at that action figure, it actually has like Marlon Wayans' face and hair.
And he's got a little bit of a fro going on.
He does.
Why is his hair so? I remember looking at it so
texture.
Tall and square. Like I can't get my hair to do that, but I didn't know all the behind scenes drama. Then years later, you go, oh, I mean, this is Marlon.
Yeah, it totally is, dude. Like I literally have it right here on my shelf. I have on my bookshelf. I have that Robin standing next to a Batman, Dark Knight Collection Batman, and So, anyways, but I was like, oh man, that's the suit. That's the Tim Drake suit. So if that's true, then there you go. That's true. And so there was a lot of future planning, like how do we modernize this outfit? And I loved it. Like you guys are talking about in the past episodes, I heard where he has the ninja toe boots. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the back of one of I think it was the collected edition, they had like this blueprint of the new costume.
Yeah.
And, it was all the throwing R and like boots and like how there's a communication device and, I think the only thing super 90s about it was maybe the pouch arms. Yeah. But,
it wasn't overly done too much because even in that silhouette on the cover of a 457 that you talk about, if you look really close up at his shoulders and the gloves, you can see the pouches a little bit. But I think that's what keeps him more from being Guy Gardner, Warrior, Kyle. I don't want to throw Kyle Rayner under the bus because I do like his suit.
Yeah.
I think if this would have drug on just a little bit more, we would have been in like 93 or 4. I think he would have had straps and pouches and, he would have looked like Cable. Yeah, he would have had the R's, the biggest Supermans, and it had been off to the side and turned sideways, all kinds of stuff. But with Neil Adams drawing it, there's more of that old school flair. So I think he was drawing it for Batman Returns as like, well, here's a mock-up of what I think Robin could work for your movie. And then when the movie passed on it, then Neil went back to DC and said, hey, here's what I think a mock-up could be of your new Robin. And that just got put right in there. And then this costume, you go to Batman the Animated Series, and this is the costume that Dick Grayson is wearing. And then whether you love or like Batman Forever, I remember sitting in the theater and when Chris O'Donnell's wearing that outfit. I'm like, it's Tim Drake's R.
Yeah.
It's kind of green, but it's, you looked at that costume. It's got the black cape. And,
yeah, that was a weird choice, the R, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like, instead of it just being, sorry, like,
No.
just go gold and black, man. Like,
yeah. But I think, I don't know if you remember, as the movie was coming out, I've got a Batman pillow that Batman Forever pillow that my grandmother got me years ago that I take on trips when we go to a hotel because hotel pillows suck. So I take this and stuff it under, but it's got like a weird silhouette of Batman and Robin on it, and it's got the, Batman Forever bat, but the Robin logo that's on there is more of a block letter R, and it's got it's got a circle around it, but it's got two teardrops going to the north and the south, points going down. It's the oddest design, and the action figures have that same R on it.
Yep.
All over the place, with the exception of the 2-pack where it was like, okay, here's more of the movie accurate Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell.
It had the sonar suit. They had that weird crouch pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That was such a weird choice. Like, but like when they make toys, it's all pre-production, so before final designs. So you're kind of like, okay, I guess this is
and maybe that was a thing they didn't get the rights to. That maybe they still didn't know what that R was going to look like at the time, or something like that.
Yeah, really weird choice though. Like when you think about like how classic the R symbol is.
Yeah.
And well, because it looked very, it looked kind of like something that would be in like a Robin Hood movie or something,
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting, dude. It's really interesting.
Listen, we can have a whole show about the R's of Robin.
Yeah, all the R's.
All the R's.
Oh, the worst one is. Sorry.
Oh no.
You know what I think? Mm-hmm. The New 52 Red Robin, or no, sorry, the Rebirth Red Robin logo.
See, now I would like to say that I came up with this design first. If you want to dive deep into my YouTube channel, Rob's Rogues, there's a little plug for it. With it being RR, I thought, well, hey, my channel kind of has a lot of Robin content on it. I wonder if I can combine two R's to kind of look like Robin's R. So I have a mock-up. I think I had it as my little image for a while, and I still got it out there somewhere. So when I saw that, I was like, hey, DC owes me money. I created that thing. Come on, DC. I do kind of like it. I'm not saying it's my favorite R, which I would have rather had them just had the bird logo gold in there. I thought that would have worked. I mean, I would have put him in the 1 year later costume, but I get it. You wanted him into looking Robin. So the two R's, I don't begrudge anybody that says that is so dumb, because I can look at it. It's awkward.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's awkward. It's not designed well, all. Like you can do the two R's together, but I'm like, it never looked like someone actually sat down and created some type of, brand. It just feels like, oh, let's just draw two sloppy R's. And I'm like, come on, Batman. Batman, he knows how to merchandise. He knows how to get some logos put together and sell shirts. You got to make bat tanks, dude. How are you going to make those? So anyways, it just felt like such a, we don't know what to do with this logo, guys. All right, fine.
Depending on who it is, some people would connect it okay, where you're like, all right, that's not bad. Where it kind of looks like something else, and you can back away from it and go, oh, I see the two R's, and I'm looking at an art piece that I got from Patrick Gleason, and I love his art, but it's just literally two R's right next to each other, where I'm like, come on, man. It's two R's. Do something.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears to a romantic level. Tim has had
hello.
Hello. This is a late night at the Drake house.
Everyone loves a Drake.
Everyone.
Draw the shades here.
So we got Ariana on one side, knocking at the front door. At the back door, you've got Stephanie Brown.
Okay.
And maybe on the phone is Cassie Sandsmark.
Oh, okay.
Who does Tim? Because if you're watching the Young Justice cartoon, that at the end of that, spoilers if you haven't seen season 2, I think Tim ends up with Cassie. They're dating at the events of that. So I was like, oh, all right. And they kind of flirted with it in Teen Titans a little bit. So who do you think at the end of the day, you've got Bruce and Selena, they're going to get married, not get married. Tom King is going to let us know how that goes.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, we are. That's where we're going to put we'll close the Drake door. And we're going to go into the King house, and there's just going to be one chair and one table. We're going to fight over the chair. So who does Tim have his happily ever after with? Or is Tim, if he doesn't have time for that, where do you fall on Tim's love life?
Oh man, it's for me, it's Stephanie for sure. Like, she's definitely proven to know his world. I loved the love triangle with Ariana, back in the day, but I feel like that ship sailed a long time ago. If you were to bring that back, I feel like me and you would be the only people that would remember.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a hardcore,
right.
Tim Drake fan to go, oh yeah, she's back. Like, it wouldn't, it would be the equivalent of maybe bringing a Vicky Vale back in the Bruce's life. Like, oh, like that's a big name. People, I guess that's not the equivalent. It would be like
Silver St. Cloud,
or Vesper Fairchild or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, bringing her back. Like, who's she? So yeah, Vicky Vale is a bad example, but
I got you.
It wouldn't have that weight, because I feel like we all get these two ships are coming at each other, and I kind of like the relationship they've established.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I would pick. I would pick Steph, by a long shot.
Right. That's more of my. I've had somebody like Tom Panarese that did the interview with last week, and he was him-hawed for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like from the same school that you and I were about reading when that was Tim's first real girlfriend, and when Stephanie is a new person coming in. So like you said, it would be a flip now where you're like, oh, her? That's the ex-girlfriend from junior high.
Yeah.
This is your college girlfriend right now.
Didn't he? Wasn't I'm trying. Maybe I'm getting confused. Remember, there's some cobwebs. So wasn't his nickname or his alias with her? Wasn't it Alvin Draper?
Alvin Draper, yes.
Okay, and
circle gets the square.
Yeah, she was so mad that I don't know you and you know who I am, and
Yeah, I always thought that was
sunglasses.
Cool. He would call her Steph,
yeah.
and I don't even know who you are, Alvin. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Alvin Draper.
So in the last 5 years, and starting with that curse word, New 52, that we're not going to talk about, Tim Drake has taken a back seat to other members of the Bat family, or almost left completely out of media. Like, for example, Batman Hush. I cannot wait for this animated movie.
Yeah, that's a choice, man.
Yeah, they're making a choice. Well, it's in the New 52 canon. You could just slip Tim Drake in there and be like, hey, I kind of wish it was his own standalone, like The Dark Knight Returns, Year One, Red Hood, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a reason? Is the Bat family too imploded that they just can't pick, or is it this is just who Robin is, and because of the New 52, Tim drew 4 short straws for who wrote him, and that's just the limbo that he's in until Bendis now?
Yeah, you know what? I don't typically take the conspiracy side of things. They're trying to get rid of Tim, I really feel did him wrong in New 52. Again, the Red Robin series and his trajectory at that point was really good. I feel like it was heading somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then with the whole New 52, they botched his origin. He really didn't have a through line. He was just a really terrible. And you did it. You stuck it. You stuck it out. You were the only one who stuck out that series.
Brother.
Yeah, man. I don't know what it is. With the animated movies, I feel like they're just trying to establish this this universe now. They don't really do the one-off things anymore. Once in a while they will.
And I can respect that. I can almost look at it this is a cartoon series that's run over the course of time. So I get it, but
I just feel like Tim, his role in Hush was important to put Damien there. And here's I'm actually a Damien fan. I really enjoy.
Oh, same here.
I really enjoy the character. At first, I was like, "What the heck?" But it threw. I like new wrinkles on characters. Dude, Batman's a dad. Okay, I never thought that was going to happen. And so I enjoy that wrinkle. They went there. They changed the character. Something you can't really change that through. Some type of continuity change. I guess you could. I mean, everything's changeable, but it's been established. That's his son.
You can adopt Tim, you can adopt Jason, you can adopt Dick, but to have a real flesh and blood kid, one that you didn't realize, and that adds a new dynamic.
Good job, Dark Knight Detective. Wait a second. But I love that wrinkle. But I feel like they could coexist, you know? And I think sometimes some writers have done a good job when they're all together. I don't want to go there yet, but there's been a few issues in the King run where he has all the Robins together. And man, he's done such a good job with all their different personalities and dynamics. And I think they could exist. I think there might be an editorial thing with Tim Drake. Hey, man, like we're trying to really, you know, pump up Damian. But I feel like every Robin character has been given a spotlight since the New 52, whether it's Jason Todd, Nightwing, or Damian. And you're right. Like, where does Tim fit here? And I don't think they know. And I think they tried. I think in the first run of the Rebirth Detective with Tynion, I didn't love what he did. I know you guys really were kind of beholden to that, like, oh, you really loved it. I just feel like it didn't land well. I don't think they landed it well with him because it didn't platform him for success. Like, what did he do after that? Right. Nothing. Like, they didn't really follow that up really well. And then now he's in the Young Justice book again with Bendis. And I'm like, where's that going to go? Because now they're like, we're going to give him a new name. I'm like, oh, man. I mean, anything's better than Savior or whatever that like, right? Like,
well, you went right into the next question. I mean,
yeah, sorry.
No. This is a great segue. This is the 30th anniversary, which, I mean, I'm not that good of a planner. My wife tells me to take out the trash, and it'll be next June when I remember to take it out. But
hey, you did it though.
Yeah, but I did it.
Yeah.
But this is Tim Drake's 30th anniversary, and you got Batman 89's 30th anniversary. It's Batman's 80th, and our 100th episode are all kind of coalescing here. So Tim's going to be given a new character name. So my original question was, should Tim be able to stay a Robin? And like, no, let John Kent and Damian change, or is it time for Tim to be a la the next, not Nightwing, but should he get to graduate to his own thing? Or was he such a good Robin that it's like, nah, he deserves to stay Robin?
Yeah. I really don't mind the name Red Robin, to be honest. Like, I'm cool with that. If at first it was like Red Robin, like what if there was Blue Robin and Yellow Robin, like the Green Lantern Corps of Robins, but I remember the We Are Robin series. Like I read a little bit of it. I was like, man, I kind of like this concept of like, hey, Batman, his like little soldiers are Robins, But if they, I think it's all in the execution, like creating a new identity that is cool and is obviously marketable. Like Nightwing is a marketable name, and it's got history in the DC universe with the bottle Candor and all that stuff. With Tim, it can't be lazy. I really hated that name. Like, my new name is Savior, right? Like, right. It just felt really ham-fisted and like what? I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't think that was going to stick either. With Tim Drake, hopefully if it's not going to be Red Robin, which obviously it's not. Because that ship sailed. Now he's just Robin again. So he's Robin. Everyone's Robin. Maybe he'll be Rockin' Robin. Who knows? It's not. You know what? It is actually. It's really important what his new name is. Yeah. Because if it's, he's Tim Drake. You're right. It's 30 years of Tim Drake, and like nothing's really happened for him. Like you got to platform this guy, and maybe they'll do it more towards the end of summer, because that's I think that's what the publishing time was. I think it was September-ish.
September.
Yeah. I remember it being Christmas time when that stuff actually happened. It was closer to like 91, I believe, or something like that. So hopefully they do have some type of like plan in place. As of right now, like they still haven't revealed what that name is. I think it comes out next month though, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm just kind of like treading water. I don't know. It has to honor like this legacy of who this character is, And there's a lot of people that like him. He's our Robin,
right?
And he's to be actually the best Robin, right? The most well-rounded and likable.
Yeah, exactly. You could see. I mean, Terrence has said it on the show that Tim Drake rode a bicycle, and I was riding a bicycle. You felt yourself grow up with this character. Yeah. So like Bendis has hinted at that, it's I don't know if it's steeped in Young Justice, but his new Young Justice code name, I think, has something to do with his time in the Young Justice book from the 90s. So I've been going back through, like, other than Mr. Terrific, or I forget what he called himself in one issue. We had like a goatee and tattoos disguise. If it's that, I'm going to flip this desk right over. But
it's just going to be Alvin Trapper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is he one of the chipmunks? Is that Alvin?
Right.
So this is really quick. Speaking of costumes, if you had to pick one costume, I think everybody picks the same one. The classic or the 1 year later red and black? Where do you fall on Tim's costume?
Yeah. I love the classic costume, but I'm going to go 1 year later, man.
Ooh, nice. I do have a soft spot for that costume.
Yeah. What I love about it is when the New Adventures of Batman and Robin, and they redesigned the character for the cartoon, I was like, I love the red and black, because a Robin is red and black. There's no green on a Robin. And I get like the historical significance of the green. I loved that idea. And it's funny because I want to go dig through my illustrations. I would actually draw, like, I would make my own costumes and stuff, and I would give Robin long sleeves. You know, I was like, dude, it's freezing. It's freezing. Like, there was some issues of I think the miniseries where he had like black sleeves because it was like cold. Like, but I was like, that looked so cool, and it inspired me, and I would do my own kind of variations. And then the Batman Forever suit kind of like evoked that a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I really liked that idea, and I loved giving him more of a bat look. I know on the last episode, or like I think it was 95 of your show, you know, you guys are talking about like no bat scallops for Tim, but I actually liked it. It kind of felt like, hey, you're a uniform, you're part of the team. I kind of liked it, and it just felt like, okay, this is part of our look, guys. We're gonna have scallops, we're gonna have fins. Robin, you know, maybe they could evoke feathers more. I hated that feather cape though that he had in New 52 again. But I like the scallop cape for him. I thought it was a good look. The only thing that I would have done without is the black shorts. I would have just had a full red bodysuit. So I'm gonna segue this into the Young Justice suit. I really like that suit.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did like in the New 52 that you saw it very briefly for, I think it was almost a full splash page. Brett Booth drew it, but it is the death of the family issue that takes place in Teen Titans, where the Joker kidnaps Tim and Jason, and Tim wakes up in his Robin costume. He wakes up in his Robin 1 year later costume, sans the red shorts. Yeah. So everything, I loved that look. And I started thinking about it after with talking with Donovan, where we're like, no scallops. I started thinking about it. He wore his costume as, you know, reflection for Connor, who had passed away, but he gets the scallops and then the scallops on the cape after having been adopted by Bruce Wayne. So I think you're right. That pulls like the familial, I think that's the word I want to try and use. I'm saying it wrong. But, you know, he does have the scallops on the gauntlets. He's got a cape that is honoring his bat part of the family. So yeah, I'm always torn. The way the wind blows, I'm like, yeah, I love the classic costume, but I'm looking at the 1 year later action figure right now from the Batman and Son action figure line. I love that figure. Yeah, I think it's a good look, and I think it matured him a little bit too. You know, as he, you know, came into this, I don't know, like the, you know, latter part of his teens or whatever, like where we've grown up, we've kind of passed him by. Right. But yeah, I like that suit a lot. And I actually like the Red Robin suit too. Like, I know, you know, it's basically the Dick Grayson suit from Kingdom Come. Right. And I like the streamlined look where I think it's like issue 5, I think. Don't quote me on it. Yeah, where Tim makes a line of like where Alfred tailored it so the tunic's gone. It's kind of almost more like a onesie, and it really streamlined the look. I really liked that one. Yeah, it was good. So I like that suit too. You know, but I kind of like this new version. Young Justice, yeah. Yeah, that, oh gosh, you just said his name, and I forgot his name. Gleason, yeah, Gleason did a good job designing that. I feel like there's a little busy at points, but it's a good, like, modern take, but I feel like it dates it. It kind of puts it, it's not classic where, like, the original, you know, 90, you know, one suit, you know,
we'll see. a lot of knee pads and stuff, but I think I really do dig. Like, again, my favorite is probably the Young Justice version.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was like, I typically don't go to like the random animation like costumes, but I like how it evokes the old tunic on the side of like the hips.
Yeah,
it kind of go. I think that's the one I'm thinking about. Like, I could be off. It could have been a different like season or something. But
I think you're right on.
Yeah, but even though that one does have short sleeves and gloves, I don't know. I like it. It feels fun. So there you go.
Well, I want to segue to you and I talked about this. When we get together, we want to talk about this thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to go from Tim Drake, and we're going to do it as if I'm getting punched. Like, let's say Batman's getting ready to punch somebody because he's so angry. And let's just say he clocks, I don't know. Let's say he clocks Tim Drake in a fit of rage. And now you like that? That's a horrible segue to, I want to talk a little Tom King with you. We chat back and forth online frequently. So at the time that we're recording this, I am 2 issues away from finishing up Heroes in Crisis. And then I'm current up to the wedding. So I have a huge chunk. Hey everyone, a quick little edit into the show here. At the time that we recorded this episode, I was not current with the Tom King run, as you heard me just say. But now having a few months go by, I am current up to the most recent issue for the City of Bane. So if you've been following me on Twitter at DrummerRob10, I have a pinned post of me going through the Tom King Batman books that I was behind on. So some of this next conversation with Justin will seem a little off because somebody may say, hey, you just read all that. So at some point, Justin and I talk about maybe doing an episode of a Let's Go comic show or coming on as a guest or something like that. So maybe this will be a topic that I can get a chance to discuss with the guys over there about, now that I'm current with the Tom King Bat books, how do I feel and stuff like that. But you kind of see my reactions on Twitter as I've gone through those books, again, to get current up to this point. So if you've been following me on Twitter, it's going to seem a little odd, but yada yada, as Seinfeld would say. So let's get back to the show. Ahead of me to read, but my goal is to get caught up over the next couple.
Oh, so you haven't got past any of that stuff yet?
No, so I did read. I think it's 74, where once I saw like, oh hey, the Bat Family is on the front cover. Like, all right, like King stuff. I like it in a way that he's telling a linear story, but it's jumping. You're like, okay, we started at this issue and then it jumped over here. So I didn't feel like I'm totally out of. And because, the internet, I can kind of piece together what's happened, but I want to read it in a chunk. So I just went in going, all right, I don't mean this disrespectful, but it's Tom King. I don't think I'm going to be that lost reading this one issue out of context. And I was a little bit like, okay, I think there's a dream thing going on with Bane, and then seeing the family come together and him, cold cock, Tim, I was like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. So that spurred my interest in going, all right, I've let too many issues, 30 issues get between me here and there. I think just life, like, I'll read later, and the book's coming out twice a month. I'm like, man, this pile is getting bigger. So I'll be glad once we get back to once a month. So
I'm there with you. I'm there with you on that. Because then I can buy another book.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You don't like the Drake?
Hate the Drake.
I love the Drake.
How could you not like the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
The Drake is good. Do you like the Drake?
I love the Drake.
Good for them. Love the Drake.
Got to love the Drake.
I'm impressed.
What can I say? I'm irresistible.
So I guess what's one of your questions? Because I when I was listening to the episode and you and Terrence were just like, what is this book? I was like, you guys got to read it. Because one of the things that I wanted to challenge you guys on was you guys were commenting that the relationship between Bruce and Selina just kind of felt like, okay, she's my love. Like, where did this come from? And I think as you read it, there's a lot of flashback to their, Tom King digs deep back into continuity.
Right.
Whereas, we're no longer beholden to New 52. Everything's on the table. And, Bruce brings up, a lot of these, discussions like we met on the boat. And then she, and then I might have it flipped a little bit. And she's talking about their first encounter in Batman Year One.
Right.
And so it's not just the rebirth like relationship. It's beyond that. So they're forever like this entanglement Batman and Catwoman has had. Like talking about Hush, there's elements from Hush, there's elements from, Heart of Hush. All of that stuff is in this timeline. And so there's definitely Catwoman who's been like redeemed, and her story is, all that stuff is part of this character's DNA. And so once you get out of the I Am Bane story, you start to see that, like, oh, okay, because there was that, like, what's going on with Catwoman, and the long game with Tom King is some of it could get like repetitious because you're reading one single issue, you're like, what the heck? It's just Batman saying the same thing over and over, and I get that. Like as a single issue, it probably doesn't work as well as it does collected. As you read it, you're probably going to have a better experience than some people.
That's what I'm hoping for. Now that I've got the advantage of having, I suck at math. 30 some odd issues there to go. It's going to read more like better in a collected trade, even at a 2-week pace. I think King has a way of spreading things out. Like I absolutely loved Rebirth #1 with Gotham. I would say
Gotham Girl
and Gotham Girl. Yeah. I liked that whole thing. Batman, flying the plane on top of the plane. I was like, this is bananas.
That was insane. Yeah.
But I'm like, great. That's a Batman thing to do. Like I could see that in the animated series and pulling off. So I have the respect of Tom King of like, I like that you're trying something bold and new with the characters that we're like, okay, Batman's got to punch somebody in the face every 4 pages, and like the characters should be able to grow. Like we're spending a whole show, a podcast talking about the Tim Drake character that's growing and evolving, and then I'm going, but I don't want Batman to grow and evolve. But I think they're, I don't know entirely where I fall because I want to get completely current, but I think after it was more of the stunt of the wedding that how do I say this and not sound stupid? I wish it wasn't publicized as this is the wedding. I wish we would have just been reading the issue and been like, oh, snap, she decided not to marry him.
Well, they want to sell some comics, right?
Yeah. Right. And I get marketing 101.
Yeah. I went into the story knowing they're not going to get married. This is I just didn't know. The part that was awful was it was already solicited, like, there's no wedding, and this whole storyline has been kind of there's a little bit of a deconstruction to who Batman is to platform him and change him for the future. That's where I'm, I think the end game is they end up together. I don't know if it's a wedding or not, but I think that's what he's hinted at. Like, hey, I'm going to change Batman for the next generation, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he gets married. Maybe that's the change. Like he's already a father, surrogate and actual, And so this next step is like, okay, so we really are going to have this like Batman family. Now, in no way, I'm not trying to like change your mind on, because there's things like Tom King is not for everybody, and I've really loved the stuff that he's done. I'm like, man, one of the best purchases I ever made was on a digital app sale for Vision, his Marvel book.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about
it's
that.
like this heart-wrenching like story about, I don't care about the Vision, dude. I care less about Vision. And I read this thing and it was gripping. I was like, dude, this is so but again, I read it in like a big chunk. I didn't read issue to issue. I could see his style is hard for people. If you just want to go and read a book, or like, I want to see Batman jump down and just crunch some bones and and do some detective work. This is a very psychological story, and there's some manipulation. So for you to jump in at issue 72 or whatever it was and see Tim get clocked, hey, that's your guy, and then you're like, man, this story's been a little wishy-washy, and you jump in and like, okay, what the crap's going on? Yeah. And so, but that's kind of, and to be honest, and I think I've said this on the Let's Go Comic Show, some of these issues where there's a dream going on have been hard. I'm like, okay, we got to wrap this up. and I, because for me now, I'm like, I'm getting to the point like I want to see this story wrap, because there has been a few where it's like, okay, let's we get it. There's a dream, but at the same time, I'm like, man, the art's so good.
Yeah,
the
and
art's
that's the
been
thing.
so good on these books.
And like I said on the most recent episode, I've been double dipping into all these books. The art is really good,
Yeah.
and I love the variant covers.
You're a sucker for
I'm a sucker that lasts all day and into next June. And I've told myself, all right, I don't need to double dip that bad. You know, I bought all the Young Justice variant covers, but I've almost told myself, and people are like, you're the reason why variants are killing the industry.
Oh man, yeah,
But-
you single-handedly are the
Rob Myers in Mount Blanchard, Ohio, just sunk. I'm the one that caused Vertigo to implode today. That was
you go.
That was crazy news. But I've almost thought about dropping the main A cover for the variants.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the artist doing work on the variant covers, like the art is top notch through everything. So that's where one of my final questions for you, tying this all together, is it was announced that King is going to do 85 and then jump over to Catwoman, or the Batman Catwoman title. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's just Batman Catwoman.
So would you rather DC stuck to their guns and say, you know what, King has a story for 100, let's let him go to 100, or are they going to want to? Do you think it's better that he gets to wrap up his series over in a spin-off title, and then somebody new gets to land the ship at issue 100? Where do you fall on that? And again, I want to tie this into your episode 98, if I'm saying that correctly, of how fandom is just going absolutely bonkers. You know, as much as I have my reservations for it, Let's Go Comic Show, check that episode out. I listened to it twice. Justin and Matt Ritchie did such a good job on that episode. I cannot talk that episode enough of just fandom and people just going absolutely bonkers and bananas for like flipping tables over, like, dude, that was my table. It's at the end of the day, it's a comic book. I get it. Like, I'm upset that Scott Lobdell really wrote Tim Drake crazy, but I'm not writing him hate mail, and I'm not, threatening his dog's life.
I actually enjoy his Red Hood book. No lie.
His Red Hood book is excellent, and I'm looking at the New 52 like, this is a mandate. This is what you're supposed to do. We're not going to change for the sake of change. So my going, all right, did I paint this dude into a corner? Anyway, I'm getting off topic for the question asked. No, that's all right. But yeah, how do you feel?
I like talking comics with you, man. It's fun.
The door's open, dude.
It's good stuff.
So where do you land on Tom King? Do you hope that he was going to get to issue 100 for Batman and go, cool, we got to do 100 issues, or is it more an afterthought? Like, well, we'll throw you a bone over here. Where do you fall on that?
Yeah, it's hard. Everything's a business, and it's not my business. It's none of my business.
That's right.
I'm just a purchaser. I would have loved for him to finish it in the main book. It's a little bittersweet where it's like, man, can you imagine working on a book, having a game plan, and hey, I get to write Batman 100,
Right.
And who knows, he still may be a part of that. There's always like 20 people involved in those books, But I'm glad he's able to finish the story. I can see, why they're like, hey, here's the thing, the Batman book, it's not like it's dipping, like it's number 6 out of the top, 1,000 comics that come out.
It's not 66.
Yeah, and it comes out twice a month. So that's 2 Batman books that are coming out in the month. And so if you think about, like, on sales, like, okay. And that was probably why they're putting 2 out. Tom King writes like 20 different words. That's it. It's 20 words he writes. And, you can ship 2. Not a lot of work.
I'm knocking stuff off the table. Sorry.
Yeah. But, there was a lot of, speculation. I think you guys even mentioned, like, the Hulk. The Hulk book's a really good book. That comes out. But that's coming out once a month. So you got Hulk coming out, and it's beating Batman by a little bit. But you got 2 Batman books coming out. I don't know how much of it was based on sales or, because I don't work at DC. Who knows what the reason is? I wish they would have stuck it out. Like, man, it's December, or whenever the story would have wrapped. Like, let them finish it up in the book, and then bring the new blood on. It doesn't keep me up at night. It's just one of those things like, oh man, it would have been nice for him to finish it up. You know, I have more issues and disdain for the New 52 stuff that just botched like their awesome Superboy book that was going on and Red Robin and all that stuff. You know, like, hey, that's where some of my like nerd rage is like, man, come on, DC. But yeah, I think I fall. I'm just kind of in the middle. I feel for him, like, man, doing your work, but he ain't hurting, dude. He's writing New Gods now with Ava DuVernay. So like, Tom King's doing good. Tom King's fine.
I'm excited about that. So.
Yeah. Another suggestion for you guys. That Mr. Miracle book is heart-wrenching and awesome. Again, read it sitting down. I love that thing, dude. Oh man. Him and Mitch Gerrits, dude, it's such a good team.
Hearing the two of you talk about it on your show, and you were talking about it enough that I could kind of follow along, but I was like, man, I wasn't wanting to purchase a book, so I want to get it collected, buy it as a trade, and be it Comixology, or maybe I'll just bite the bullet and buy the actual physical, hard floppy. If that's can you have a hard floppy?
Yeah, you can.
So, all right, cool. Yeah,
the hardcover is beautiful. I'm actually wanting to get that when I can make that happen.
Well, dude, this has been an absolute blast having you on the show. We could just make this a weekly event. Hey, bi-weekly, Justin and Rob.
It'd be so fun. I'd love it.
But if people want to get a hold of you at a more frequent basis talking about comics, where can they hit you up if they want to go do and listen to, get something in their ear holes, more comic stuff?
Ear holes. I say that way too much, huh?
I know. I ape all of your bits on this show. I'm not lying.
I'm like, hey, ding.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, send me some. You can follow me on Twitter, just J_Rockup. Follow the shows at www.letsgopodcast. That's kind of like our network website. We're trying to figure out, what are we doing? And we got 2 shows. We got the Let's Go podcast, which is more pop culture. We're not really talking comics, but then the Let's Go comic show, obviously, all about comics. And that's like a weekly show that pretty much sometimes we'll miss a week, but overall. And we do some reviews on Wednesdays for comics. So if you want to read some reviews on books, I love comics, and I really love the kind of this podcast community that's kind of come out of this love of comics. It's like you said at the top of the show, you make really good friends with people based on this love. And I think of a guy like Jay Yaz, like who's doing the Young Justice show.
Oh, yeah. I love that dude, man.
Yeah, and like it's fun. I've got to hang out with him at Comic-Con, and we got to talk, and it's just fun that you have a hobby that can turn into friendships, across the states,
Right.
And so it's fun. I love being a part of that community, and it's fun to talk comics. We're not making money doing it. We're just having fun. We're having fun, like sharing in fandom and that type of stuff. So yeah. So if you'd love to check it, if you like comics and sometimes some snarky comments, I don't know. I feel we always talk
Dark
about
Knight Rises.
Yeah. That's like an ongoing kind of like joke. I don't hate the movie.
No,
it's just not my favorite, but it's very fun to go. Anything's greater than. But yeah. So if you like comics, you're like, hey man, I need another comic podcast to listen to. Go check out Let's Go Comic Show. I would love for you to check it out.
And I got to tell you and Matt, but I'm extremely jealous that you guys got to do your episode 100. Folks, go check us out in a bar that's comic themed.
Oh man, yeah.
Like how cool. Like I was like, where are the Skype cameras when you need them? Like that. I want to see the inside of this thing. I'm just picturing, like a Miller Lite poster hanging next to like a Batman.
No,
poster.
not at all, man. It's actually to just kind of pull the curtain back. It's this. It's a brewery. They make their own beer.
Oh.
And every beer is like, they have a comic book character that's like connected. So they make everything up.
Right.
Everything's their own. It's a very nice spot. It's like all like very white inside, but with bright colored characters on the walls. And then they have some like, vintage toys. They have a really cool like shelf set with like Marvel Legend styled figures. Like there's some DC, all of them that are like in that like 6-inch scale.
Yeah,
they have a kind of diorama there, and it's a really cool spot. It was called Unsung Brewing in Anaheim, California. It was a fantastic place. I love just being there. You're like, this is cool. It's like where it's like a nerd chic. Like this is a cool spot. That's a brewery inspired by comics, and it was cool, and it was just a fun time. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I do have one more last thing as I'm looking at it. I'm looking at my Nightwing figure here sitting on, and it spurred me to think, oh, has Beast Boy landed
Yes.
At your location, and how did that go over?
Oh, yeah. So Rob's got the hot connections on DC Multiverse figures, which are not available anywhere,
right?
Except through random, I guess, online retailers. My son loves Beast Boy, one of his favorite characters.
Awesome.
And so Rob gave me the heads up on where to get one of those because my son had his birthday and wanted to get him a little special something. Just he got his gifts, but I was like, you know what? Just a little something extra, and it came, and he was like, "This is awesome!"
That's cool. I'll put a smile on my face.
It feels like the sculpting is different on these. Like, they're a little more, I guess I want to say, fun in the sculpting.
Yeah,
like the faces seemed a little more, less like grimacing, more like, hey, this is a kind of a new. They're segueing into a new, I don't know, like. Standard on what these things look like, but
and to know that they've only got one more official wave after this, and the Mattel license is done, and that's the little heads up on this. I don't know if you saw on the site, the last official wave is going to be the Batman wave.
Yeah,
it's Red Robin, Red Hood, Dick Grayson Batman, Collect and Connect as Killer Croc, Katana, KG Beast, Alfred. So I bought the whole entire case. So
wow!
So I think they're going out with a bang and all that stuff. But yeah,
nice.
I was glad I was able to at least hook you up in that general direction.
Yeah, I want to go back and get. It's so hard for us to finish the build of figures. I feel like we've only built like Steppenwolf and the Batman grapple gun. That was it.
Yeah,
we haven't finished any other one.
Especially if you're trying to buy them in stores and you're like, well, I got 2 arms for Bane and a foot for Cheetah and a torso for Darkseid. Like, I'll build my own figure.
yeah. It's we are definitely like. Have yet to build. We have a lot of limbs. We have a Killer Croc still without an arm, and
yeah, I'm missing one arm for Killer Croc.
Yeah, we got to rectify that. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, this is where we're going to end this episode, folks. Justin Kowalski, thank you, brother, for coming onto the show and telling everyone why you love the Drake. So on the behalf of Justin, this is Rob, and you've been listening to the BatmanUniverse.net, and more importantly, you've been listening to Justin Kowalski Loves the Drake. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care. Bye. And show.
Awesome. There. That was fun, dude.
Dude, that was awesome.
24 hours ago, I want to be sedated. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. I want to be sedated. Just get me to the airport and put me on a plane. Hurry, 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 before I go insane. I can't control my fingers, I can't control my brain. No, no,
Thanks for listening to Robin, Everyone Loves the Drake podcast. This has been brought to you by the BatmanUniverse.net. Tim Drake, Robin, and all Batman-related characters are under copyright of DC Comics. This podcast is solely for entertainment purposes, so no infringement is intended by this show. This show is not a good revenue stream. Actually, there's not a stream at all. All music and sound clips are under copyright by their respected copyright holders. So there should be no need to send the Penguins lawyers after us for ill-gotten gains because there are none. You can get a hold of the show a few different ways. We are on Twitter at ELTD Podcast. You can also email in at robineltdpodcast@yahoo.com. Our Facebook page can be found at www.facebook.com/everyonelovesthedrake. And as always, you can message directly over at the BatmanUniverse.net. So email, tweet, or message us. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll read your comments or responses on the show. The show you're listening to can be found a few different ways through iTunes and Windows Media, also over at our host, TVU. Leave us a review on iTunes if you listen there. It'll help spread the word of the show. Make sure you head over to the BatmanUniverse.net, your home for all things Batman and Robin. Thanks for listening to the show and hearing why everyone loves the Drake. We'll see you in a few weeks. Take care.